everyone, thanks for logging in. I'm Rick Delgado from NufrontierPictures. I wanted to do a quick review on the GH4. This is kind of part two of my first review, which was pretty much a sneak peek. But this camera, I've been able now to shoot with it in various productions. And I have some pretty cool intel for you, and I'll start by just talking about cards. The cards that can be used on this really awesome cam. One note is that you can use the Class 10 cards. I've had no issues. Well, maybe a couple of times I would have that message where, you know, it just stops recording and tells you that the car is not fast enough, but really not many times. Count them maybe 2 or 3 times in about 6 productions I've had with the camera so far. I have there's a couple of things that drive me a little crazy. I spoke last time about the HDMI being in the place where it is. Was sometimes a little difficult because with a couple of rigs, which I'll show you later, it just got in the way. The screen just couldn't come out and do the things it needed to do. Also, the sensor, you know, when you have it enabled so that the eye sensor shifts from the eyepiece, the EVF, to the monitor. And it gets too close, it goes to, like if you have it on your chest and you're shooting, it just kind of comes in and out, the image, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt. So you just have to go in there and enable just the monitor so it doesn't go back and forth, and then you can just toggle on the LVF button right up here, which will allow you to go back and forth from the EVF to the swivel monitor. When you enable it, sometimes it defaults. For some reason, I don't know, sometimes halfway through my shoot, it defaults back to the default settings, and then you have to go back in there and do it again. I think it may be if you were to close this and then go here, if you go back out and open it up, it defaults. Maybe that's when it happens. I haven't quite figured it out when, but it's been quite an ordeal. But that's something that you're just going to have to keep in mind when you're shooting. The camera crashes sometimes, and if you're using both batteries, and the camera's crashed on me about 6 times, and it just kind of toggles there. There's an image that sits on the monitor, and it just stays there, static. And what I do is basically take the battery out. I mean, turning it off and turning it back on doesn't do anything. I have to actually take the battery out and put it back in. If you have 2 batteries, one in this slot and one here, that would be a problem, because even if you do this to reset and go back in, you're still kind of on with this battery. So I recommend not to have a battery slotted here, but to only have it on the grip. That is one of my recommendations, because it's easy just to be able to kind of reset the camera in situations where it does crash, like it's happened to me a bunch of times. Want to talk about the lenses that the new lenses that I've obtained since my last review. I've got the micro third cameras, micro third lenses, the awesome Olympus 1440 2.8. It's absolutely magical. Really awesome lens. Sharp to a point where I almost really have to unsharpen it because it gets too video-y. But really wonderful. And for photography, it's extremely fast in autofocus. It's almost, you don't see the autofocusing even happening. You click halfway, it's there. And really fast, even stuff that's up close, and you're shifting from stuff that's up close to background. It's really fast, pretty much unnoticeable. So the Olympus 14 to 40 to 8 is definitely my recommendation. It is an equivalent focal length to what we would use on the Canon 2470. So that's kind of my go-to lens right now Really nice lens. Couple other micro four third lenses. This little pancake lens is adorable. It's an 8mm. It's an 8.0, and you're locked there. And you can kind of work your focus on this little ring here. It's not, you know, it's not the best quality, obviously. It's a $140 lens. But, you know, in given times and situations, if you have a lot of light and you're outside, you can pop this thing on and you can get some, you know, some wide shots. Really nice. I mean, I use it. And I'm sorry, that's not an 8mm, it's a 15mm. 15mm 8.0 is the f-stop. And then I have the 17-8. I have it now sitting nicely on my GF2, which I use as my little kind of go-to reportage cam. It's really beautiful. And the beautiful 20mm. This lens really kind of blew my mind. It's 20mm 1.7, and it's super fast. Not as fast, obviously, autofocusing as the Olympus, but it's really nice. Gives you a nice wide shot, and it's beautiful for reportage. And also for this camera, if you want to just basically compact everything to make it even smaller. Other additional lenses that I use, obviously the Carl Zeiss line of lenses. If I have a production where I can use these and I'm not running and gunning, then they're gorgeous. 85mm, 35mm. The equivalence is 2 times. So you don't have a wide shot with it, but for beautiful portrait shots or tight shots on interviews, it really is quite magical, the Carl Zeiss lens. And then I have from the FD line my ever gorgeous 55 1.2 from the FD Canon line of lenses. There's also other lenses I have from FD, the 20. I spoke about lenses before, but I've kind of narrowed down to these. I'm looking for a longer focal length right now, and I'm kind of shopping around. It'll probably be a micro four thirds lens, just because I would like to have the ability to have the autofocus. So I'm shopping for a longer length. I've purchased ND faders for all of these lenses, and it's nice. You can just dial in your exposure and keep your speed and keep your aperture where you want to have it. If you want to do short depth, whatever you want to do. But I have basically ND faders for everything, even for the 20. I bought a little guy here, and that works. It works really nice. It's a charm. I want to talk about the stuff that I've shot, and I'll just roll while I'm talking. I'll just roll over some of my footage. But I was at the AVP Pro Beach Volleyball tournament in St. Petersburg and shot there, doing some kind of player profiles for them. It was really nice to use a slow motion. It's really awesome. The quality drops a bit because you go down to 100 megabits per second, but really cool stuff at 96 frames. We also shot a commercial that required some slow motion of a soccer player kicking a ball. Also, I've shot various interviews with the camera. I also shot the Live Ultimate race in Los Angeles. We were doing some vignette pieces on some really amazing runners. It was beautiful. You know, the quality combined with the Olympus 1440 2.8 shot at 200 megabits per second is beautiful. It really is a beautiful image. And I've been a Canon guy for years, for like about 15 years of my life, and I kind of make I've done the leap here to the Micro Four Thirds and the Lumix, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I still own the C100, the Canon C100. I use that camera a lot as well, but for incognito situations, for where you don't want to be known that you're around, or if you need to move much quicker, this camera is pretty fab. I want to talk about some rigs that I've been using for the Los Angeles shoot. I used this rig, pretty simple, kind of a hodgepodge of Red Rock Micro Gear, the Atoma Samurai Blade with the converter. So that's that rig. And then for a more incognito rig, I have my own little setup, which is even smaller and quicker and swifter. And I have this voltaic backpack, solar backpack. So I have this on my back. And I have my sound gear, pretty much the stuff that needs to move around with me if I'm moving and running and gunning. And inside of here, I would have a small tripod if I need to sit down and do a quick interview with somebody. All my sound gear, everything kind of goes on here. And then strapped alongside of me is this awesome small bag by Low Pro. And it basically just kind of straps right on me like this, nice and easy. And then I have this camera with a small strap, and it's right here. It's beautiful, nice and small. I can basically kind of push in, push out. I can really work this nicely. I can dial in my exposure. If I feel like it's too bright outside and I need to make sure my exposure is right, close the lid here, make sure I got my exposure, yeah, lock it in, come back out, boom. I'm really nice and smooth here. If I need kind of even a little bit more support, the bag can swing over and I can just place it right on here. Really nice kind of running and gunning situation here. So that's my incognito rig. It works really, really nice. And I have a trip coming up right now that's kind of interesting. The client was asking, do we really need to go through the whole process of getting these Pelican cases and everything onto the plane and so forth and so on, because we're shooting in Bimini. And they asked for a total stripped down small rig, and this is perfect. So there are opportunities where you can utilize such a cool little quick small setup and fast setup, and this was a perfect occasion for it. So, and like that, other productions are coming up where I'll probably be utilizing the camera. Right now my arsenal is the Lumix GH4, the Red Scarlet, and the Canon C100. Those are the three cameras I bounce back and forth with for bigger productions. We obviously pop the Red up. And then for now, these incognito moments, and when the client is asking for something small and quick, and the quality coming out of this thing makes total sense. I would like to kind of salute a couple of people that I got a lot of great information from. Griffin Hammond. This guy's really great, detailed and patient with explaining the GH4. Look him up. He's got his channel on YouTube. He's awesome. Also David Thorpe, he's more on the photography side, but really detailed when it comes to reviewing lenses, Micro Four Thirds lenses in particular. He's a Canon converter, or a Nikon guy that came over to the Micro Four Thirds world. Sharp guy, a good guy to listen to. Obviously Philip Bloom, you should also check him out. He's got great intel on his site as well. You can find me on Instagram at Rick Delgado. Subscribe if you can to this channel. I'll try to do these as much as I can. I'm constantly traveling, constantly shooting, constantly working, thank God, but sometimes I'm able to sit down and do these quickies, and hopefully you got something out of it. Thanks so much, and see you next time.